Welcome to the first episode of CXO Voices, a new podcast from CXO REvolutionaries. My name is Sam Curry. I'm Global VP and CISO in Residence at Zscaler. And I have the pleasure of speaking with Afsaan Kermani, who's Vice President of Information Technology at Akumin, a company devoted to improving the quality of patient care with radiology and oncology treatments. Afsaan is the VP of IT, driving tech and business innovation. Welcome, Afsaan. I'm really thrilled you're here today. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Sam. I'm truly excited as well to be here.
I think the first thing I want to maybe start with, a little icebreaker, if you will, is what was your first job? And a follow-up is what influence, if any, has it had on your leadership style today?
Sure. So I've always been in IT and specifically healthcare IT, right, since I graduated. So my first job was actually for managing IT for primary care clinics based out in Florida. There were multiple clinics based out in Central Florida first. So I was your network and system administrator, and then that company got bought out by JSA Healthcare, which then got bought up by Tavita. But then we had multiple primary care clinics all over Florida that I moved into a managerial role of EHR and database engineering.
So you mentioned when you graduated, did you study on the computer science or cyber side? Did you study on the healthcare side? Because it sounds like you have a mission.
No, I actually just studied computer engineering, and just by luck I got my first job was in healthcare, and I stuck in healthcare since then.
So the healthcare industry is using tech, I think. I'm on the outside of it, of course, not like you, to reshape patient care, get operational efficiencies, overall healthcare experience. You mentioned EHR systems, and they seem to be becoming not just more common, but pervasive. Telemedicine seems to be growing, and I think the CDC reported almost double the number of visits in telehealth between 2019 and 2021. Of course, that makes sense with COVID. But maybe you could tell the listeners a bit about Acumen and what its mission is and what it's doing to help the industry modernize.
So Akumin's a leading provider of outpatient diagnostic imaging services and oncology services in the United States, right? We operate in about 48 states today, and we have partnerships with about 1,000 different hospitals out there. So we work with all the health systems, physician groups, and hospitals are our big partners. We have over 200 fixed sites and about 300 mobile units. Essentially, you could think of an MRI or CT machine on behind a semi truck traveling all over the United States or stationed at a hospital or another partner group. So Acumen's a leading provider for those services in diagnostic, outpatient diagnostic imaging and oncology today.
Um, I have to imagine that the size of the data is enormous, that you just mentioned driving around, and I have to imagine that the number of places you have to go and the sensitivity of the data is huge, but you also have to get into an ability to leverage data at scale. What is the challenge like from an IT perspective? I imagine Gen AI and the advances in AI have been a big deal, and a cyber perspective and privacy too. How hard is balancing those things?
Oh, it's healthcare is very niche, right, within IT, and the challenge is humongous, just because traditionally healthcare has always been the last to adopt to new technologies, right? Traditionally, but we tried to change that at Acumen in my early stages when we started this journey, right? And uh, we really tried to embrace change from within IT. We tried to embrace cloud technologies, which is really unlike the healthcare industry out there back in those days. And I'm talking about 6 7 years, right? And we really tried to embrace cloud, and lately, of course, AI. And our specific use case within AI is basically currently at least image enhancements, right, from an MRI and the other images out there. And of course, cybersecurity plays a huge role because we are dealing with PHI and PII data, right? So healthcare data is super important. It's our duty to make sure we really take care of that, and so cybersecurity is a huge focus for us as well in that journey.
So the 2021 cybersecurity report by the Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights shows that there was a huge increase in reported healthcare breaches. And I'm always I'm always wondering, is it just that more people are reporting, or is it actually an increase? But there were over, I think, 600 major breaches that affected 500 or more people in 1 year. I think that was the definition of major. I think that was a 55% increase from the previous year. The industry seems to be targeted more than others, and yet I feel like there's a lot of money spent and there's really good quality people in it. Is it actually more vulnerable or more targeted? Why is it in the crosshairs so much, perhaps? Or is that just an impression that I've got here?
No, no. While it's true that healthcare industry faces a high number of attacks, right? I wouldn't say it's inherently more vulnerable than the other sectors as such, but the increase in targeting it's primarily due to the high value, sorry, of healthcare data that's on the black market and the critical nature of the healthcare services, which can really make organizations freak out and give into those demands, right? And of course, healthcare industries really face some unique challenges out there. Legacy systems that are really difficult to replace. Number one, right? There is also the need for immediate access to patient data in critical situations because you could have a patient waiting on the table. They need the doctor or the surgeon needs to see their images right away. So immediate access to patient data, right? A complex system of interconnected integrations, devices, systems in a very strictly regulated environment, right? That can really sometimes slow down security implementations, but the goal is always to increase those and keep up with the industry today. That said, right, many healthcare organizations today are making significant investments in cybersecurity, right? And we are really seeing a growing sense and awareness of the importance of robust security measures and a shift towards being proactive in security instead of being reactive.
Is that a avoid the bad, as in it's a risk mitigation thing, or is it because it actually opens up new opportunities for things like research or for the business of healthcare? Is it a move to the positive, or is it a shy away from the negative?
I would say it's a move towards the positive, but not fully, right? You also have to. It's you first and foremost you have to take care of the patient data, right? So of course that's our first goal, but at the same time it also opens up opportunities in during that process while we are implementing that.
So, Afsaan, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention ransomware. I think it has I think it has plagued the industry, both the broad IT industry and healthcare in particular. Um, it's been a grave concern, I think, with the attack against Change Healthcare. I think that was estimated to cost over 2.3 billion.
Right.
What kinds of increasing sophistication, if any, are you seeing from cyber criminals? How are they changing? Is it bigger? Is it tougher? Is it faster? Is it efficiency? How are they changing over time and with technology?
No, yeah, and in recent years, right, we have observed several concerning trends in cybersecurity activities, right, cyber criminal activities specifically, right, and they have really been more targeted and well researched attacks. Often, and in many cases, they leverage social engineering. Right.
Mm.
Of course, they have APTs, advanced persistent threats that can remain undetected in our systems for extended periods of times, right? And specifically in healthcare companies, right? And nowadays, due to AI and machine learning and crafting and helping them execute these attacks, doesn't make it any easy for us, right? And sophisticated attacks that targets vulnerabilities in third-party softwares, right? Softwares that we essentially don't have that much control over is one of their main focuses as well. And the ransomware really evolves into, you could call it like a double extortion tactic, right? Where data is of course first encrypted and then stolen at the same time, right? And it's just gotten better and better from a cyber criminal activity perspective, which really hurts companies and of course healthcare companies as such, right? And yeah, and nowadays it's getting more and more important for us to secure our environment because of that.
So I have to ask as well on the defensive side. I'm a big believer that zero trust is almost essential for reducing the footprint and future proofing against advances in technology on the dark side. To what degree is that part of your strategy? Is zero trust part of what you're doing at Acumen, and if so, to what degree?
Yeah, so of course, nobody can fully today. While some can, but not everyone can say, "Oh, we are fully zero trust," right? It's just it's just a difficult journey, but a very important one to get there, right? And an Acumen, right? We really made significant progress in our zero trust journey over the past couple years, right? And of course, the journey always starts with authentication, right? Identity management and access management, right? So multi-factor authentication across many of the systems that we can is really one of the biggest stepping stones towards that journey, right? Also, least privileged access model for users and application gets you there. Slowly starting to deploy micro segmentation across the network, and of course, I know one of the companies that Zscaler actually acquired, air gap, right? And it's pretty cool technologies, and that's something that is out there to look at as well from a potential opportunity to help us with that micro segmentation and get to a network of one that you might call, right?
Yeah,
So that's
that network of one, for those who don't know, is it's all /32, right? It's
all slash
DHCP
32.
proxies, right? So you get the east-west zero trust. I'm sorry I interrupted you there.
No, 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 absolutely.
But
No,
where do you want to get to by the end of the year, then, for instance? What's the
um,
next step?
yeah, the end of the year would be severely enhancing our identity and access management systems, right? And of course, making sure rolling out the zero trust network access solution from a ZPA standpoint, and really shoring that up and enhancing our data classification and protection measures. Also, in our principles in our cloud environments, which would be super beneficial, I would say. It's an
So
ongoing
Z,
journey, right?
yeah,
It's
so
never, it's
yeah,
always ongoing.
yeah. The word journey, I think, is key there. And as you look to do the reverse proxy and get into things like data centers and cloud, is there a migration involved? Are you actually migrating to cloud? Because a lot of that can be done more simply once you start to do logical segmentation. Is that something that's happening in the environment?
Oh, it's been a process for us, right? So and of course, yes, that is a part of it, and we have done that. We started this journey a couple years ago, so it's not like we have to do it all at the same time, but it's an ongoing journey that we are getting super cloud focused there.
So I'm thinking about others who might be listening. What were your major milestones to get to this point? What was it like from the day you said, okay, we're going to do this zero trust thing, ZTNA, but also other dimensions of zero trust? What was it like culturally, perhaps? And then what was it like actually getting on that path and getting to today?
No, so number one, right? You gotta assess where you are at today from a current security posture and assets, right? So number one, after you get that assessment, you really need to build out the roadmap with milestones that you want to achieve, and the stepping stone and the foundation that I would say that everyone should start with is looking at their and focusing on identity and access management out there, and then implementing monitoring and verification for that purpose, right? And you mentioned culture, what how that would change, right? And you cannot, and I mean you really cannot ignore the human element out there. Educating the end user, cultural change that the end user will have to have because of this change is super crucial, and you really cannot ignore that fact. So there are a lot of that's one of my basic advice, at least to get them started in their zero trust journey.
And and at the beginning, you probably had a set of expected benefits that you would get from it. Is that what happened over the course? Did you wind up with those benefits? Were they something else? Did it pan out as you expected?
Yeah, so of course the big benefit is always an improved security posture, and get that better visibility across your environment and control, right? And while I wouldn't say we fully reap the benefits, but I think even that is relative, right? And it's an ongoing journey while we keep on reaping the benefits of everything that we are doing today to shore up our security posture, right? And having that flexible and scalable security environment that supports modern work practices is going to be super crucial in the years to come.
And if you, I imagine you probably talk to other CISOs at various points of maturity in their journey, and they say, "Hey, what are you doing, or what have you done, or hey, you've done this thing." Do you give any advice typically, or is there any advice that you would give even right now to someone who's thinking about doing a similar kind of development or engaging in their zero trust journey?
Yeah, the biggest advice I would give them is right. See where you are at today. Start doing the foundation steps that we spoke about from an identity and access management perspective, and make sure you do not ignore the human element of educating the end user and the change, which is really crucial to this operation, right? Because improved security posture really reduces the risk of these attacks, and better visibility and control of your environment also really helps with that. And all starts with efficient security operations, right? Either if you're doing that in-house or you're doing it with an outsourced partner, having an efficient security operation is super important to an organization, right? And of course, detecting these anomalies at an early stage and improving your response and being nimble, that can really help your capabilities and aligning with your business objectives from a cybersecurity standpoint.
Do you have any major milestones coming up in the future, or anything that you're like super excited about?
Having, of course, and this is every organization that I speak to, right? Making sure each and every one of your application is really backed up and really protected with multi-factor authentication, and also making sure they're segmented. So once all organizations get there, that can really put them on a good path to their zero trust journey.
Yeah, we call it app segmentation, but really it's logical
Absolutely.
segmentation, right? Yeah, and going
Absolutely.
from coarse grain to fine grain. You mentioned we talked a bit about culture, so I want to drill in into the C level and the board. Um, how has the impact of zero trust and let's call it the recent cyber landscape, how has it changed, if it has, the perception of cyber with the board and with the C level? In other words, has it become more of a topic? Has it stayed the same? Is it visible to them?
No, yeah, the cyber, the not just the cyber landscape, right? The landscape out there today really puts a lot of focus on cybersecurity, right, within the executive teams and the boards of all the organizations, and rightfully so, right? Because currently they should be viewing cybersecurity not just as a technical issue anymore, but as a critical business enabler and a big risk management function, right? And due to this, the shift has really led not even us and all organizations out there, led them to increase the investments that they have going on in cybersecurity initiatives, right? A real more frequent and in-depth discussions at the board level, at the C-suite level, right? And a greater integration of security considerations in their business strategy decisions and discussions, right? So security and cybersecurity gets a seat at the table at all those discussions, which is super important. And that's how you get the customer's trust and business continuity going out there.
So I have two questions as we approach the end of our interview, and so let's make this a bit more personal, I think. So
Sure.
if you could go back in time, right? This is always a fun exercise because uh, cast yourself back. Is there any advice you'd give your younger self? Something you'd tell them to try, or hey, don't do this. And you can interpret that any way you want. It can be younger you at any point in time. So what would you tell your younger self?
uh Simple, right? I would tell my younger self, trust the process, right? Growth isn't always linear, right? And every challenge is an opportunity to build out resilience, right? So that's my simple advice I would give to my younger self. But in the broader picture, right? My career has always been driven by my passion for leveraging technology, right, to improve delivery and service delivery, specifically in healthcare right now, and also affecting patient outcomes, right? Because kid you not, right, in healthcare, whatever you do in IT, you are essentially affecting patient lives, right? So whatever we do today in healthcare, IT is really important to the big goal, because lives are at stake, and you really are affecting patients life lives here. And I've been really fortunate to work at this intersection of healthcare and technology. It has really given me that whole breadth of knowledge, and witnessing and contributing to this digital transformation of the industry has been super rewarding and beneficial to me.
I said I had only two questions. I'm going to add another one.
Go
So
ahead.
there'll be two more. I think you have a mission. I don't think you would want to be a CISO in any other industry, is my guess. Am I right in that? Do you have a mission? And is it healthcare? And sorry if that's a too
No,
profound a question for a quick conversation here, but do you have a mission?
no. So mission is simple, right? Title don't entice me as much, right? The I get really motivated by the challenge of navigating complex environments and landscapes out there, and that's why healthcare was super fascinating to me. But that doesn't mean if my career is 40, 50, however years long, doesn't have to stay in healthcare, right? I can always, whatever I've learned in healthcare IT, I can surely and definitely apply to all the different industries out there from a technology standpoint as well, right? Because the passion for innovation, right? The passion for solution solving, right? And maintaining the highest standards of a protection compliance is always a constant driver for me. And that really excites me always.
So I'm going to call it a passion rather than a mission. I
Yes.
think
Yes.
it's clear you could do anything you set your mind to, but I think you have found certainly a passion in affecting lives. And I would bet that whatever job you set yourself to, there will be some impact on human life. And so my final question for you is there a book, a podcast, some music that you would recommend for someone in the C-suite or someone who's on a mission to get there, perhaps, or even somebody on the cyber path who's thinking, what do they do next? Is there something you'd recommend?
Yeah, so I've always been an avid reader back in the day, and I'm while I don't get to read as much these days, one of the books that has really resonated with me in my current career has been a book by the author called John Doerr. The book's name is Measure What Matters, because it really gave
Mm.
me an understanding on how to align teams with the different strategic objectives out there, right? And of course, I would be amiss to say if I wouldn't mention from a podcast standpoint, I really love to listen all the different CXO podcasts that Zscalers had. And hey, this is not a bias, but again, CXO Voices, I'll be an avid watcher and listener as well when the new episodes come out. So looking forward to
Can you
that.
listen to your own voice, by the way? Because I have trouble listening to my
Not
own.
not I will have to skip mine, but the future guests, 100% I'll be listening in.
I'll let you know if it's
Looking
good.
forward to that.
I have a suspicion. I have a suspicion that you will sound good on this one. But Afsaan, I have to say thank you for being on this first episode. I think the listeners will love it, and I have to say thank you to the listeners. And I would ask the listeners, please subscribe to the podcast and visit CXO REvolutionaries. And thanks to everyone. Thank you, Afsaan.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, Sam, and really appreciated the chat that we had. Thank you. My pleasure.